Episode 6. I made it through.
You're still on the bus.
I am. But I'm majorly injured. Ooh. I got a walking boot on. I got crutches back there. And I solely blame Mack and Biggy. I'll tell you at the end of this why I blame you, because I know you're watching this. It's all your fault. Stay tuned.
If you don't know, I'm Sonya.
I'm Rick.
Also known as the 13th contestant on the bus, because every episode so far, you've mentioned me or talked about me or my cooking or started crying because you missed me after like 7 days. However, this episode,
I didn't talk about you. But if you were to watch any of Kim's exit interviews, Rick was crying every time he talked about his family, every time he talked about his wife. So I finally, thank you, Kim. I grew a pair of balls and I didn't cry this episode.
I felt like, maybe I was deleted from the edit because you did miss me, but you're just saying you didn't. You stopped missing me.
Oh, shoot. I meant to say I missed you so much. There's nothing, like when you're in a dungeon, like I had to just survive, right? I couldn't be, missing home too much. My mom almost made the edit, but you didn't. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay. All right. Well, what did make the edit was your sweet running skills.
Yeah.
And not just your running, but people mentioned it. I think there was a whole montage of whoa, Rick's so fast.
Yeah.
And you were like, I think I'm going to twist my ankle. And then somebody's like, well, I didn't think he had it in him. So 2 questions. One, why do they talk about your running skills? Is it just because you were old and they didn't see it coming? Or because you're just that good of a runner?
Yeah. Episode 1, go all the way back. At the well challenge, we had to run up those circular steps. And I remember Rachel saying, Rick, you're fast.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, for an old dude, I'm pretty fast. And then we didn't really run much. You saw Mack running in a couple of the episodes, but then this was it was a race. You had to get the horseshoe, get the yodeling, the one you thought was right, and then run it back to Jeffrey. So there was some sprinting.
Oh.
And I think I surprised him. Biggy's like, put this guy in some shoulder pads and a football player. Yeah, I played football. I did all the sports. Ty bragged and Kim bragged about being on the track team. I was on the track team. I was actually winning the races.
But you didn't tell them.
No, I didn't tell anybody that I actually was decently fit. I can run. I've done a couple marathons. I can run.
I think that's Kim. We watched some of her exit interviews this week, and she was like, I could tell he was lying. And it's true. You actually didn't tell anybody any of your skills.
No, there's still 3 or 4 professions I haven't told anybody about. No, why give anybody any ammunition to make you a stronger target, right? Why do you think Matt got out? Because Peter's like, she's the smartest one on the bus. She's going home. If they were to think that about me, then I'd be the first one gone.
Yeah, so I think of it, you weren't necessarily lying. They were just on a need-to-know basis, and they didn't need to know how good you were.
Yeah, all future contestants on Destination X, keep your skills quiet. Don't tell them what you're good at. Let it kind of come out.
Yeah, it's more fun.
But you'll be called a snake, and no one will trust you, and you'll feel alone on the bus.
Okay, I have some more questions
for
you. So at the beginning of the episode, there was the first competition where there was all these books in a room in a castle, and there was a riddle, and you cracked that Edelweiss answer right away.
Tell me more.
Well, okay. That was actually really impressive because I was like, how did Rick know that?
I love the editing on this one. So, Allie found the Mozart music in 15 seconds. And that's how I think Biggy even said it. It was so fast. And then you cut to us, and I'm like, whoa, Edelweiss, here it is. It actually took a long time. Oh. There was maybe 1,000 books
Sheesh.
And they all had their jacket covers off. So you had to really read the spine or even open the book cover to read the title. Right?
You had to go through 1,000.
And it was dark.
Ooh.
And if you notice, I'm holding one of the candles. It's one of those LED flicker light candles because my eyesight, not the greatest, wearing glasses. So I'm holding up the candle to each book, going through one by one. Thank goodness they skipped all that and they just went right to when I found the Edelweiss book.
So wait, did you know you were looking for Edelweiss or?
No. I knew it was something about flowers because it talked about blooming. Yeah. And so I'm like, all right, flowers. And then I think Wind in the Willows. Pete found that book and we're like, no, that's not it.
It had to be a song too. Right? No, because the riddle says it's a song and Pete said, oh, does anybody know Wind in the Willows song?
Nope. So that's why it looked like it was fast, but no, it was slow.
So it was seeing the book that made you realize that was the answer. That's right. And you knew that Edelweiss was a flower?
I knew it was a flower.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know it was a song at that time. It was just like flower.
And a flower from...
All right, so confession time. This is why I thought we were in northern Switzerland because, all right, at our restaurant, when we owned it, we would serve a liqueur of the elderflower. It was like Saint Germain's liqueur, and I was like, Edelweiss, elderflower. Same. It must be Switzerland because I remember the cross on the bottle. Oh. The logo is a cross, but actually, once I got off the show, I Googled it. No, the elderflower is from France. It's not even Switzerland, so way off. Oops.
Okay. Ooh, yeah, that could have been dangerous. Okay, so next question. So then the second challenge, it was you and Allie, and you guys were in this suite of some sort. Well, it was a room.
Well, you forgot the key, right? The first challenge was all searching for the keys.
Oh, yeah.
There's 6 contestants. Yeah. 6 keys for 7 people.
Yeah.
So one person doesn't have a key.
Yeah.
The key looks like that. Somehow at the end of that episode, the key was in my pocket, and I just kept it in my pocket. So, fun little souvenir. Sorry, production.
Cool. All right. I'm just gonna.
But then we go. It's Allie and I for the finale, up in the upper room, trying to find the answer to the last riddle, right?
Yeah.
And I find, and we both find that vase that you hold up in the mirror, right? And it says salt, and I say that doesn't help me at all. Mm-hmm. That doesn't help me at all.
And then, but did you know at that point to look for a salt shaker?
Yeah, once I put the vase and it wasn't the vase, I knew I had to look for a salt shaker. Okay. And in fact, I found a salt shaker and guessed on that. It wasn't the right salt shaker.
Oh, so there was lots.
There was lots.
Yeah.
So when it says salt, what does that mean? Like there's more than one salt shaker, right?
Yeah. Okay, and so then she just happened to grab the right one.
She grabbed the right salt shaker.
I'm going to be honest, I saw that little castle thing, and I was like, is it pointing to an old episode castle? Like maybe that well, because it was red. But it's
on that vase with the salt backward,
yeah.
It had the labyrinth, which was a call back to the Paris challenge,
right.
But also it had other representations of the other challenges we had been on. It was kind of like a hero piece that the production had made that showed all the cool places we had been. So I knew it had to do with that vase.
Shaker,
It was just a red, so Austrian colors is red.
Oh, yeah.
So like red and white. Also the same with like those X's on the shutters on the castle.
Yeah.
It was red and white for the colors of the Austrian flag.
Right.
So all these things started clicking with me that night. Sound of music.
You have to pay attention to everything.
Everything.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Okay. So then there was the Yodel challenge, and you won. You won. That was your running.
Yep.
You nailed it.
And I was so we did 6 takes of that running. So we were tired at the end of it. And I think the other contestants that lost, they were they weren't running hard, but I knew because I had won that on the retakes, I wanted every take to be Rick sprinting hard to look good. I don't know. I thought it came out very well.
Did you hurt yourself on that?
No, no walking boot. No,
Okay.
no. Healthy.
So then, because you won, you got to choose somebody to save from the Mack room.
That's right.
Okay,
Right.
so the choices were
Everybody.
Allie.
But Allie, because she was
Yeah.
safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Biggy, Mack,
Shane,
and
Pete, and
Janae.
Janae.
So out of those 5, why did you choose Biggy? I guess
Yeah.
they did. You did explain it.
I did explain it.
Yeah.
I explained it because we were bunkmates, which was true. We had grown close. We were good friends.
Yeah.
We still talk. So Biggie's awesome. And I didn't want to expose that I was working with Pete and Janae.
Yeah.
It would have been too obvious had I said, all right, Pete, I'm taking you with me. Everyone's like, why are you working with the new people? Because at that point, I was still adamant that I was an OG and that we talked all the time about how to get out Pete and Janae.
Yeah.
What's the strategy? We were sharing all of our clues, and we were saying on the bus, they don't know we're in Austria. There's no way Pete and Janae were in. They think that we're in Switzerland.
So I made it.
And I would tell the group, yeah. They know nothing. They think they're in Switzerland.
Yeah.
But I had just told them we're in Salzburg. Yeah. So I had to stay in those good graces. So I picked Biggie because it's like, look, hey, you're my bro. You're the one I'm closest to in the OGs. So of course I'm picking you.
So next question is, in the end, there was a tiebreaker from the map room, and Pete won the tiebreaker, and Pete knocked Mack off the bus instead of this guy, Shane, that I think that they were not the best of friends, like sort of building up to be his arch enemy. Were you happy to see Mack go?
Okay. So the build-up is amazing. The episode starts still with Shane and Pete just fighting. The whole moral compass and loyalty conversation, like it was built up for Pete to take out Shane, just to slay the dragon.
Like even on the bus. I mean, not just with the edit.
Yeah. It was like they hated each other, and like
can you tell us why?
they did not get along.
Okay.
Did not get along
Just
at all.
Different people, different walks of life.
No, it's just I don't know how Shane got on the show. Like he is a gorgeous human being, but geography skills not there.
Sure.
Socially smart, but hooking up with Allie, it was annoying.
Yeah, that's not
it was annoying. No, Pete's more like, hey, even on a dating show, he won't hook up with girls.
Yeah. Okay. So they're just
different people.
Yeah, they don't have a lot in common.
No.
Okay.
But so when he had to decide, he literally only had 30 seconds to decide. There was no chance to talk to your alliances, to figure out really the best play is who to get out.
Yeah.
We couldn't talk to him. So I was just sitting there praying, going, Mack, do Mack, because she is the smartest one on the bus. We all knew it was her game to lose. And when he took her out, like, I hadn't breathed in a minute. Like, just the, like, I had to say, I had to show that I was so sad and upset because she's one of the OGs.
Yeah.
And, I didn't want anybody on that team to be out, but inside I was just celebrating, high-fiving. And I couldn't give Pete a high five because that would have shown that we were working together. It was just like, oh, I can't believe you just took out Mack.
I honestly don't know how you emotionally deal with the whole thing on the bus. Like, it's sad. It's sad for me to see Mack or anybody's dreams, of making it to the end, get vanished with one person's whim.
And she knew the game is knowing where you are. She knew where she was. It wasn't up to her anymore. It was taken out of her hands.
Didn't you feel sad? I would feel sad.
It was taken out of her hands.
No, you weren't sad.
No, thank goodness.
I'm sorry.
Pete, thank you. You crushed it.
I'm sad. This is why I was not on the bus. I'm like, I want everybody to do well.
No, that's Josh. All right, you cannot be a Josh. Not everyone can win. You have to play cutthroat.
Oh, okay. Another question.
We have time for one more.
Okay, last big question.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Salzburg, final destination.
Yeah.
How did you figure that out?
So many Austrian clues,
Okay.
right? The yodeling, the mountains, we finally got to see it. The salt equals Salzburg. The red and white shutters was Austria. Heidi Ho, he said that.
Yeah.
Right? The movie Heidi,
No,
right?
I
That's
know,
in
yeah.
the Alps.
Yeah,
So it was
the
all
Austrian.
It was all
Alps,
pointing
yes.
to that. Mozart, Salzburg, like it was obvious to me. Salzburg
Yeah.
was the answer, and it kind of like shocked me that people were thinking Vienna, or people weren't even thinking Austria. Like Janae and Pete, like they were in their own country. So I was feeling good because I'm giving them the right answer, and they're clueless of where we really were.
Yeah.
And that's now been 2 countries in a row, Germany, Austria. They had no clue where we were. So
Okay.
these are great alliances. They're going to protect me, and they don't know where we are.
Yeah.
So, I can discard them later if I
By
have
the
to.
way, I did Google how far it was from Munich, which was your final destination in the last episode, to Salzburg.
Right.
And it's an hour and 40-minute drive.
Remember, guys, we were driving for hours in circles every episode. Just because it's small on a map doesn't mean we drove straight there. We would go down, left, right, go in circles, drive for hours just to go only an hour away. Like,
You were driving for days.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was confusing.
Yeah. All right, guys. Why do I have a boot, and why is it Biggy and Mack's fault? It's a pickleball injury. My first time playing pickleball yesterday, and I tear muscles and tendons because they said it's the most fun sport. They love playing it. I wanted to give it a try. Yeah.
I call that sabotage.
Taking you down. All right. That's it. Thanks, guys.
Okay, watch next week. We'll be back next week. Bye.